Hello guys and welcome back to DarkHorse FM. Now I know that defending could be a problem on Football Manager 2023, so in this video I'm going to share with you 5 tactics that are very solid at the back while scoring amazing goals up front. With these tactics you won't really have to worry too much about your defending, but I must warn you, they're not plug and play tactics, so you will have to manage the game once in a while. Try and observe the match and see what is happening and go on to make your tweaks while you're in game. Without further ado, if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button so you can get notified when more tactic videos like this do come out. Let's look at the first tactic. The first tactic we're looking at is the rock solid Underdog 352. I think Josh designed this. He deploys a back 3 system with 2 ball playing defenders and 1 central defender and a sweeper keeper on support duty. Your 2 wing backs on this tactic have wing back on attack duty, and then there's a mezzala on attack. In the center forward position you have an advanced forward on attack duty and a deep lying forward on support duty. The other roles are the box to box midfielder on the left side of midfield and the deep line playmaker on defend to hold down the midfield. From tactic testing, this tactic was able to only concede 0.5 goals per game. That's ridiculous for Football Manager really, and looking at the team mentality is generally positive, but in possession the team has been asked to play with a slightly shorter passing and then high tempo. There's emphasis on crossing the ball into the box, and then the team is trying to stretch the pitch by spreading the oppositions or spreading the attacking width wide. For transition, the counter press and counter instructions are selected. As much as I don't like those instructions being selected all the time on Football Manager, you will have them selected in this tactic. And your goalkeeper has been instructed to distribute the ball quickly, even though he's rolling the ball out. Now, out of possession is not so adventurous. There's a much more often trigger press, and then the team has been instructed to step up more. But why I'm saying it's not so adventurous is because there's a standard defensive line. Now, what I would normally do in this case is to move the defensive line all the way up, because we're trying to step up and trying to press the opposition all the way, and having these gaps in between might not be so helpful because there's a lot of space in here. But nonetheless, the tactic was able to work effectively on Football Manager 2023, and I recommend that you keep all the instructions the way they are. The next tactic is this strange one. I've actually made it to the list. I've seen this tactic before in lowtempo.exe. It's also designed by Josh, and the wing backs here are on support duty, as well as the mezzala and the box to box midfielder and the regista. In fact, a lot of players are on support duty except the players that are in attack. There are 2 ball playing defenders on defend duty, and the mentality for this tactic is positive, and 2 wide players in attack are both inside or both inverted wingers on attack duty. When you're in possession, it's very low tempo tactic, so the emphasis on this is to actually hold on to the ball as long as possible and to stop the opposition from having possession of the ball. If they don't have possession of the ball, you can always keep it, and then they don't find a way to try and score you. Every other instruction is pretty basic. In transition, we see a similar trend in counter press and counter instructions selected for this tactic. The goalkeeper this time has been asked to take short kicks. Out of possession, there's a standard defensive line and a high press. So in case you haven't already gotten the message, if you want to concede less goals on Football Manager, a standard defensive line with a high press is quite effective in this game. I noticed it even in my recent save, but there's a much more often trigger press here, and then you can also ask the team to prevent the short goalkeeper distributions. But I only recommend this instruction if you have tall players in your team. That way you can actually press the goalkeeper up front and force him to take a long kick, and when he does that, your players that are much taller than the opposition are obviously going to win the header. In at number 3 is one that I actually like. There are 2 advanced forward on attack duty. The tactic is called the 4-2-4 volts into undervolts version 3. Now there are 2 inside forwards on support duty, and you have complete wing backs on attack duty. In the DM position, there's a segundo volante on attack and then a ball winning defender on defend duty. The back 4 still consists of 2 ball playing defenders on defend and a super keeper on defend. Unlike the other 2 tactics, this actually works with the balanced mentality, and the team's passing directness is shorter even though they are playing with a much higher tempo. It's similar to the Alhamdulillah 4-2-4 tactic. As you can see, there's a team's play is focused on the left and the right hand side with overlaps on left and right as well. In transition, there's also a continued trend of counter pressing and countering the opposition, distributing the ball quickly as possible and then rolling it out. Here is where it differs. The team has been asked to play with a high defensive line and a high press. Much more often trigger press is still selected for this tactic, and then there's a get stuck in instruction, and the team has been asked to drop off when they are out of possession. I promise as you go down the list it gets better. This is Randy Marsh's 4-2-3-1 custom Gegenpressing tactic. Now, the reason why this tactic is so special when it comes to conceding less goals is that the tactic actually scores a hefty amount of goals. So when this is more like using attack to defend. This tactic was able to rack up 334 goals in tactic testing. The general mentality for the tactic is attacking, unlike the other ones that we've seen, positive and balanced. This is actually the first tactic that we have seen that is using the attacking mentality, and the passing directness is shorter, even though they're also playing with a higher tempo. They're exploiting the flanks like the other tactic that we just saw, but in this case, the team is also playing out of defense. The walk the ball into the box instruction is selected for this tactic, while the team has been asked to also run at defense and be more expressive. Now in transition, the counter press and counter instruction is still selected for this tactic, but in this case the goalkeeper has not been asked to rush the play in any way, so when he's in possession of the ball, he will just distribute it to mainly the centre backs taking short kicks. Now out of possession, we see a much more often triggered press with a high press and a high defensive line. Here you're also forcing the goalkeeper to prevent short goalkeeper distribution and try to hit the ball long, high into the air. Now this by far is the most powerful tactic of them all. It has actually been unbeaten in 3 or 4 different tactic testing sessions. Not just draws and wins, but complete victories. Like in a season of 34 games, they actually won all 34 games, which is strange on Football Manager. The mentality for this tactic is balanced, and we can see another continued trend in exploiting both the left and the right flank and looking for the overlaps on both flanks. Passing directives for this tactic is shorter, and the team has been instructed to run at defense, playing with a high tempo. Now in transition, the goalkeeper has been instructed to distribute the ball quickly and roll it out. Counter press and counter has been selected for this tactic as well. And when the team is out of possession, they will look to press as quickly as possible, even though they have a standard defensive line, and they're trying to tackle the opposition aggressively. That's why you see the get stuck in instruction is selected. Looking at the player roles for this tactic, there are 2 inside forwards on attack duty and double advanced forward as well. In this case, we do have wing backs on support duty, but in the central defensive midfield positions, you have doubles Segundo volantes on support duty, and behind them you have 2 ball playing defenders on defend with a super keeper on defend. Now both trying to just be secure defensively, these tactics that I've given to you would actually help you score a lot more goals on Football Manager. So in case you're worried about not just conceding but scoring goals yourself, this is going to be a good selection for you. I'm going to attach the link to these tactics in the description down below, so you can download this tactic for yourself and then test them out and see how you can use them for your team if any of these tactics actually match your players in your squad. I will see you with more Football Manager tactics like this. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already subscribed, and hit the like for this video if you actually found it useful. I will see you in the next video.